Hello, this is Joe again. You joined me here, perhaps just to see what this, maybe the title, which I have not thought of yet, grabbed your attention. But in any event, I am going to be as descriptive as possible in this video. Let me first say something. I have, because of the onset of trauma that I faced as a child, I have been through, as with many people out there, many trials throughout the course of my life. I'm just about half a century old, not truly believing that I am the age that my birth certificate denotes me as being. So with that, I would ask the question or beg, who would have the ability to alter birth certificates? The government or people that are affiliated with the government. Moving forward, from the onset, as I stated, at this particular time in my life, I'm uncertain as to my true birth date because I do not look the age that my birth date says that I am. In addition, with the unveiling of so many things that have transpired over the last, I want to say 15 years because that's how long, 17 or 18 years. That's how long I've been in Los Angeles, coming originally from Chicago, Illinois. But what do they say? A criminal or a villain always returns to the scene of the crime. And the reason I say that is that this is the third time that I found myself in California. The first time that I recall is initially going through boot camp in San Diego. And then after that, finishing my military stint, I returned to California with an older brother to help him pack up and move out. He was also in the military but stationed on the West Coast. So I come with him. We drove from Illinois, helped him, pack up and everything. Went on base. Where's that? Oxnard, Camarillo, one of the air stations up here, and met some people. Got involved with a woman for a short period of time. You know how that go, guys, ladies. And then we were back, on the road, driving to Chicago. He had successfully discharged. During this particular time, I did attend a party here in California, friends of allegedly my brother. And what I'm more inclined to believe is that my brother was instructed to bring me to this party for a reason or another. That is important. Then finally, as I am here now, the third time being the charm, you return from that whence you have came. One has came. Am I saying it right? You return once again to where you started. So me being here, this being my third time, leads me to believe, follow my train of thought, that I was actually born here in Los Angeles. I was taken to Illinois and placed in a family. I will say my great grandmother, I love her dearly. She has since deceased, deceased, she has since expired, was an Eastern Star, and she was a registered nurse. So that answers the question for me surrounding my birth certificate, the legitimacy of the date that I was alleged to have been born. Now, moving forward from that, I got involved with street life, street gangs. After getting out the military, I got set up in a relationship with a young lady, a beautiful woman. I still love this woman to this very day, even though she's married. And that love stems from the things that I put her through, not knowing who I am, and just maybe perhaps things that she kept from me as to who I truly was, because she and I were arranged to be in a relationship. My uncle, who I did not find out until many years later, was a Mason. Excuse me. And he worked for the state of Illinois. As you will find, if you don't know, a lot of members of secret societies work in governmental offices. That's where they're the most effective in controlling people's lives. Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Human Services, they work at hospitals, they work in courtrooms, judges, lawyers. You get the gist. Any particular occupation that would negatively impact an individual's life, you will find members of secret societies in those positions. Now, continuing on, myself and this young lady, we allegedly had a child, and I had I want to say the audacity, but something inside of me told me to say this to my daughter. The woman I was with, this young lady that I was introduced by, I didn't say this, my uncle, a Mason, and he had a female friend who happened to be an Eastern Star. And this Eastern Star was the caretaker to her niece because her sister had died. This Eastern Star sister had died. So she took over custody of her child, like she was her own daughter, but she was her niece. She was an Eastern Star. My Mason uncle hooked me up with the Eastern Star's niece. Okay? We did a lot of things together. We ended up working at a job together. But in the end, the regret is mine because I was drawn to the streets, having grown up in foster care and being away from people, what I would say African American, and the plight that they were going through in the streets and the ghettos of Chicago. Because me being in foster care, I was raised in the suburbs. I had white foster brothers. I went to predominantly Caucasian schools, high school, around child actors, to say the least. And so I ended up being drawn to the streets. Now, in my being drawn to the streets, I was led there primarily, or the excuse I had given myself was because my younger brother, who we were kept together while we traversed through foster care system in Illinois, and when I call it abandoned him by running into the military, he ran away from the foster care, ended up on the south side of Chicago, staying with our great grandmother, great uncle, grandmother, mom. All of them were there in one household. So he ran away. I went into the military. I get out the military. I immediately want to see where my brother's at, and he's on the streets. He's selling drugs. He's gangbanging. So I immediately, even though at that time I had a fairly good job, I'm in a relationship with this Eastern Star Eastern Star's daughter. I'm gonna say daughter, but it was her niece. And I wanted to pull my brother in. And what ended up happening, instead of me pulling him in by having him come to live with me and this young lady I was involved with at the time, I got pulled out into the streets. I got intoxicated by the freedom, the rebellion of ripping and running, doing what you want to do, selling drugs, smoking, drinking, messing with other women, the confrontation of being in the streets, the ghetto life. I got intoxicated by that. No sooner than me actually getting out in the streets and being around my younger brother and trying to coerce him to come stay with me, because I was still working a job at that time, he got locked up. So here I am out in the streets without my younger brother to guide me, and I got pulled right into the gang, I'm gonna say enigma, okay? Because of the affiliations that he had, they accepted me. My younger brother had a bit of a, what would you say, I don't know, this word's escaped. He had I'm not going to say a legend about him. There's a word, I can't think of it right now. But he was well known in the streets, you know, gang life and stuff like that. He was well known. He was the one that you didn't want to cross. That's what he was known for. And here comes his older brother, who's not about that at all. And his older brother is more intelligent and know how to talk. And so I was taken underneath the wings of someone that was in a position of authority. There was the guy that ran things where we were situated on the south side of Chicago, and he saw the intelligence, also the fact that I was a relative of a member, that he, pulled me up under his wing, and I ran where he ran. I moved when he moved. A lot of things that transpired came through me because people knew that I was close to him. So I got a lot of exposure. And that ended up being the catalyst for an eventuality to occur where we decide that we're not making enough money here in the streets of Chicago. So we're going to take this to another state where we get more money. Now, a little side note, I had no idea of where we were going, how we were going to do what we were already doing in the streets of Chicago, but I was game for it. So we kind of packed up like the Beverly Hillbillies and we moved on out to this other place. And sure enough, here on the streets of Chicago, you sell some drug or something, just for example, for $10. And then you get to this other place, for example, like Minnesota maybe, and that $10 that you got in Chicago for that drug, you get $50 over here. So yeah, we here. So things happen. A lot of things happen. Now, the side note I want to add, I didn't add, is that now at this present time, I realize the whole scope of what happened. This is what I'm thinking. There were individuals that are affiliated with certain gangs, associations, affiliations, organizations, whatever. And at the lower rung of these organizations, they have individuals that go about choosing people that they're going to use this person. And the way they use this person, they're going to get into this person's life. They're going to tear it up. The credit, the family, unity, communication. They're going to rip it apart. And once they've ripped this person's life apart, where they're no longer talking to their sister or their brother or any of their friends, whatever, then they're going to isolate them. And then certain things are going to start to happen to that person's family. For example, life insurance policies start to materialize, and then suddenly a family member dies, and someone gets the money for that life insurance. And part of me wants to say that these life insurance policies could have been doctored where I'm the beneficiary. But if you get your identity stolen, it doesn't matter that you're a beneficiary, because someone else is going to cash that check. While the real person, me, myself, am left to shoulder and explain how I'm the beneficiary of these family members that have reached their demise, and I got a check from them or something. Now, how would they pull that off? Well, currently, I'm isolated. Okay, let me speed up. That was a side step. So we do this Minnesota thing. Things going well. I meet women. Mind you, this plays perfectly into the type of environment that I was used to. I grew up in foster care. I had Caucasian foster brothers, Jewish. And here I am in a new environment to the people that I was around in Chicago. We went to this new environment, and I see them to be uncomfortable in the environment where that's my working space. I grew up around Caucasians, so it was advantageous for me because I knew how to think, how Caucasians think. Having foster brothers, going to school, and all this, even the military, exposure with a greater deal of Caucasians, dealing with them on a daily basis. I could do this. They, however, I could see how they wouldn't. But here's the catch. Where we went out of town, I'm just going to say it like this. You pull up into a town, and to your, unbeknownst to you, this town is set up to do one thing. The town is filled with individuals that practice Wicca. So you have witches and you have warlocks, people that deal with things on a spiritual level. And I myself never dealt with spirituality. However, this is the one curveball, I think, and this is why I am spiritual at this moment and believe in something so much greater. Nameless, I must say that what occurred to me was supposed to occur to me. The things that I experienced, the things I had been involved in, the things that I have done, regretfully, I had to do those things. I didn't have to, but I was put in a position where those things were to happen. Now, what happens in some organizations, you have a lot of left hand, don't know what the right hand doing. And I would take this to be one particular occasion, because not only did they take me out of town to make more money, but they took me to a town with witches and warlocks that practice spirituality, not knowing that that was deeply rooted within me, but I had yet to discover that. So the Creator, I believe in, allowed everything to happen in my life the way that it was supposed to happen for a group of individuals or a organization that has continued to operate in a manner that is not consistent with maintaining the balance in the universe. The universe operates as it's supposed to. Every little piece, nick or cranny, whatever you say, everything operates as it's supposed to for a balance. And because of certain organizations and their history of doing certain things to get a certain outcome, this was but another drop in the hat that they were going to do to me what they had done and been doing to a great deal many other people. But the universe, via the creator, had something in mind for them, and that was me. I believe that truly was me, because for me to discover about spirituality, for me to really be able to peer through the veil, the illusion that has been created, that a lot of people, you've heard people say this before, a lot of people are asleep. I understand what it means to be asleep because I am wide awoke right now, awake. I really am. And as I stated, going back to the town, which is Warlock spirituality, I basically got ran. Let me drop that. Because of the childhood trauma I went through, which I will say was purposeful in the fact that it was the government, that it was perhaps CIA or FBI, because my foster father was former military, drill instructor, know how to use psychology, as well as a pedophile, all this other stuff. The agenda is this. The agenda is to basically, one, to effeminate the African, the black male in the United States, which they were successful in doing with this foster parent because he was effeminate. But if anything, he was a handler. He was the one that was going to step me through psychologically as well as physically the experiences I need to have to shape and mold me to be a type of person that will be of benefit to someone or some organization. And I do believe there was dividends or an amount that he is or was to receive from that. This is the left hand not knowing what the right hand doing. Right hand, I was already being tampered with as a child by the government, CIA, the FBI, whatever. The other hand, these people take me out of town, and this town is filled with spiritualists practicing Wicca, basically going to use me, use my family to gain riches and everything. Left hand, don't know what happened in the right hand. So when they come together, and then they start realizing, hey, hold on, wait a minute. This guy, he already had the CIA, FBI messing with him early. Heck, over here, we mess with the CIA and FBI because the things we do, we like to provide them with individuals that they can do their testing on. But they've already tested this person. They've put this person through this already. You telling me that you guys brought me someone or brought us someone that's already in the life and they're spiritually connected? That's what I'm telling you. So now what happens is, as the creator, I believe, it's time for that hand to pay up. Everything that hand did, the individuals, lives, families that they've destroyed, it's time for them to pay up. So at this particular time, there's balancing going on. And again, this goes more into me believing in my higher power, that nothing is by coincidence. I have been subjected to, as well as physical, sexual, psychological abuse throughout the period of my life at the hands of individuals that, because of the tint in my skin, says that I'm expendable. Being expendable because the tint of my skin could possibly be as a result of someone also that has tint in their skin, but the high probability that it's at the hands of someone who does not have tint in their skin is greater. So what I've been doing, I got in a relationship with this woman, things got crazy, mother supposedly died, paperwork about yay big, lawyer downtown Chicago, I signed it, I didn't go through all of it. I buy this, I buy that with it, get into an argument with this woman, we're staying in the farmhouse, I leave, I call back, can I come get my stuff? She says no. I don't speak to her again until 15 years later. And after I spoke with her, somehow or another, she shows up in California, where I'm at. And things go crazy. And the reason I say things go crazy, I went through a shelter, started going to school, psychology, very good point that I did that. I had to do that to be in and go through what I'm going through now. She shows up here in the shelter, working down the hall from me like I'm not supposed to know it's her. All these things happen. Then I realized that there's this game. This game that's going on is called the Twin Flame game. Okay? And I truly believe that this game has been created by the government under the guise of FBI, CIA. In addition, you have the underworld, which is cartel, Mexican gangs, as well as the mafia. They're all involved in this. Okay? Find out that paperwork I signed allegedly for my mother dying had nothing to do with that. But I was on the streets hustling, and I didn't have time to read through this. Just give me my, $80,000, $100,000 check, and I'm out of here. So 15 years later, she shows up after I left, and things go crazy. I end up having to walk off my job because people that I was there providing a service to were the ones that were trying to harm me. I did again speak to my CEO, and it seemed like the CEO was in their corner, which tells me these participants, in addition to the CEO, were all part of the same organization. The problem with this now is that this organization, from my understanding, and part of the reason I was actually led to this particular shelter, there's a side story on that. How was I led? I was mentally led. I had a car accident. I went to the Mayo Clinic. I got this little thing in my arm right now. I got a little clip in another video to show you this thing that's in my arm. There's a scar on my head right above the area of your brain that controls your decision making and also spatial reasonings. Basically, lets your body know if you're moving or not. All these things happen. Then I get here. And I get here because, as I see now, I was led here. On my way here, I was going to blow my brains out. Driving a very nice car, Mercedes-Benz, got a nice 9mm. Going through hell, I got this money, I got vehicles. Why is my life not like it should be? If this is what people want in life, to show value, like they're worth something. Why is it I have this and like my life is going the other way, because I had signed a contract that they gave me this $80,000 for other things. Almost to say, this sounds crazy, selling your soul. Well, I broke down that selling your soul stuff. Selling your soul essentially is just, I'm not quite certain if it's physical removal of your pineal gland. It could be. But selling your soul has something to do with your pineal gland. And if you do anything messing with the pineal gland, you're going to stop producing melanin in your skin, which means for the period of your life that you're alive, if you have kids, so chances are your kids are going to come out, they're going to be light skinned, because the pineal gland, if it takes on the characteristics of the father, if they deactivated or disconnected my pineal gland, as I stated in the video, I have these two nodules on either side corners of my eye. Could not figure out for the life of me what they were, but they happened during this operation I had at the Mayo Clinic. What I think these two nodules are on the side of my eye, where they actually burnt the nerves that comes from the pineal gland that senses whether it's light out or whether it's dark. That these nerves control the secretion of melanin into your body. So if the pineal gland cannot detect that there is light out, then it will continue to secrete melanin. If it detects there is light, it's daylight, you're not going to give me melanin. So I'm not quite sure how that worked, because, put it this way, it was a car accident. They had no business messing around with my eyes. There's no reason for me to have these two little nodules on the side of my eyes as I do now. This is, of course, carefully guarded. I'm isolated in the sense that communication-wise it's compromised. My internet runs upstairs to the people upstairs. I'm not sure if they're just to watch to see if I do something, or to inhibit my ability to communicate to the rest of the world. I've already ran into incidents on the YouTube about something I'm stating right now, it violating some laws or something that they do. So the way that they're able to do this, I'm going to try to stay on track. Let me back up. This town, Wicca, witches, warlocks, they end up separating you from your family. Then they get you your family. Here's another part. Find out my sister was the intermediary between myself and my brothers. I had 3 other brothers, and us proceeding with this lawsuit from the death of our mother. She was the one that actually got the lawyer. At last, I would tell you, my sister, in addition to my older sister, got each $250,000, while the 3 brothers, excuse me, the 3 of us, we got $80,000 apiece. Little side note: family issues about money, get your own lawyer. Family issues about money, get your own lawyer. Do not use the lawyer of another family member. They are only interested in the interests of the people that employed them, as this lawyer was only interested in our sister and her business. Needless to say, I stated before, lawyers, judges, doctors, policemen, they're all part of this. So while I believe this was for a lawsuit for our mother, it was not. This was basically selling my soul, doing something to my pineal gland. I think to fulfill the contract, for some reason I'm believing this is what it is, for me to be successful in life, that I have to cut my penis off. I gotta cut my penis off, excuse my language, I gotta be a bitch to get any sort of wealth. That's what I'm believing this contract really was about. That explains why the pineal gland would have been tampered with. Because the pineal gland, in addition to regulating the secretion of melanin in the skin, it also has a part to play in testosterone. So that makes more and more sense to me. And I guarantee you, as I stated this before, the truth about what is going on is something that these secret societies cannot hide from. Why? Because there are individuals out there right now that used to be men that signed these contracts to be independent and wealthy as women who, I guarantee you, they've had something happen to their pineal gland. Guaranteed. And see, me proving it in my case will be hard, or disproving something like that happened in my case will be hard. But when you got a number of people that's going to number into the hundreds, maybe the thousands, men that have been changed to women, you can't disprove that. You can't just go out and kill all these men. You got to cut their wanker off to be independent and wealthy, and basically have Caucasians come and screw them when they want to, and set them up, on YouTube as tarot card readers to legitimize the income that they have. See, I personally believe that I've been allowed to sit back and watch how all this plays out. I will add, being in the military, I worked on a lot of systems, so I'm very, very coherent with identifying systems. And this was a system that I had to sit back and see how everything works. There are still pieces that I believe that evade me, but for the most part, I got the bulk of this. And this is what I see. You have secret societies, branches of the Illuminati, whose agenda is basically to remove the African from existence on this planet. And the only way they see they can do that, the African male, the only way they see they can do that is by offering these men of color, these African descendants, money, wealth, a new life, different than the life they had, different than the life they had previously. Because the life a lot of African men here in America have had has been nothing but trauma, fear, shot by police, getting stopped, pulled over by the police, working. If you're not working, it's hard to get a job, schooling. They've made it dang near impossible for an African descendant, African American to be successful in America unless you deal with them. You being successful in America means that you got to cut your thing off. They gonna hook you up. You're gonna have kids. Those kids that you have, better believe this. This is how I believe I was born. I believe that I was born by someone that should not have been bearing children at their age. That's why I was removed. I was taken from where I believe I'm originally from, California, and shipped all the way to Illinois. So I know right now that in Los Angeles, they're going through the litigation, judicial process of looking at reparations for descendants of slaves. California usually spearheads a lot of the things that happen in this country. So that goes to say the secret society influence on the rest of America. Recalling, America was founded by two people, religious people and crooks. The cornerstone for the White House or whatever in Washington were set there by Masons. My head says I wanted to be a part of that for what they stand for them to protect people that could not protect themselves against individuals who had the money to do and have whatever they want. That's what I thought Masons did. I never think that. I never think, as per the text, Masons will not be supporter. Masons will not be thieves, nor will they be supporter of thieves. Those of you out there on your square, you go read that up. But that is all that I have been exposed to since I've been here. Having my identity stolen, having checks sent to my mailbox for accounts I never opened. I will say it again. Masons will not be thieves. So the individuals that stole my identity, created these accounts, were not Masons. Masons also will not be supporters of thieves. For the individuals that stole my identity, opened up bank accounts, wrote fraudulent checks, they were allowed to do that, and you're going to tell me that not one Mason knew about that? Because you're not supposed to be supporter of thieves. Not one Mason knew of that? And if they did know, did they know they went against their own tenet, which makes them liable from ear to ear, if you catch what I'm talking about? Maybe I'm just talking. Here's the surprise. Not only was I involved with this at a young age, almost groomed to be where I'm at, but I decided to take a detour because when I got here, they tried, while I was under their care, under their roof, they tried to bribe me by sending me pictures on my cell phone from when I was living in a home in Minnesota 15 years prior. And I get this picture on my phone. That was a threat. That's how I looked at it. Because if you're going to show me a picture on my cell phone from 15 years ago, one, what is the camera doing there? Two, is that the only picture you got? Because if you don't, you need to show me all of those. You play chess with people that play chess. You don't play checkers with people that you don't know play chess. That's how I'm going to look at that. You were supposed to box me in. I wasn't supposed to know who I am. I've done everything to show you what direction, what path I wanted my life to go and the way that I wanted to walk. And I've met nothing but opposition for me to do that. Mind you, I'm in no one's way. No one's way am I in. Everyone, as I stated to someone before, you will always know when trouble approaches you, because if you have your blinders on, like you would, put on a horse, if you have your blinders on and you're on your path doing what you're supposed to do, guess what? Trouble is going to have to get on your path. They're going to have to come right to you because you're not out here being on all this bull crap. You're set, you're walking your path, you're going the way you want to go, the way you should go. So it'll be easy for you to discern good things for you from bad things from you. Those bad things are going to get in your way. They're going to try to pull you off your path. And that's all that I've been dealing with. And the way that they've been doing this is communication. But the interesting thing about the universe, the harder and harder that they try to keep me under wraps, more or less to say, it's just going to compound it when it finally hits the fan. as it's slowly doing now. And what I think some people don't know, that this plays on a larger scale of what ultimately freedom is to mean for every individual, not only in America, but freedom on this earth, period. And that is actually going to end up being, you have individuals that are governed by things other than money. These individuals have no regard, no care about money. It is just the power. And for some, a great deal, many of them, having as much money as they want, they still don't have the power. That power comes with authority. Authority cannot be taken. Authority is given. That's the one thing people don't understand. And that authority is given based upon a person's walk, not what someone's been given. That's how authority is determined. It's real simple. So I'm gonna have to break this up. I've just been rattling in, but in a nutshell, this twin flame thing, having FBI and CIA involved, being tampered with the Mayo Clinic, affecting my decision-making process, so that I do things that they want me to do, unbeknownst to me. Some would argue, how can you? It's to the point right now for me that I necessarily, because I'm not working, I'm dependent on social assistance, whatever, but I'm fully capable. And to have individuals go out of their way just to restrict or hold you back because I make them feel less of a person. Why? Because they've not taken the time to discover what gift that they actually have. I've been placed in a position where I had no other choice but to fall back on what is it that I truly know how to do. And in doing that, I learned my gifts. I'm not going to go as far into this tarot card reading because with these nodules on either side of my eye, I'm kind of believing that they are affecting the way I see things. And there's only an organization that can do that is more advanced than the technology we have currently now today. And that leads to something else. We're at just about 40, I'm at 50, I'm going to tie it off. Unbeknownst to a vast majority of, not just people in America, but I'm going to say the world, unbeknownst to them, there is what I believe, not the CIA, but there is a central authority. This central authority for the globe, for Earth, is so far technically advanced than what we actually are in our society. And they have to be that way so that they can control the direction that we as humans are going to go. The only way for them to do that is for them to be many years ahead technologically, so they can shape the twists and turns as we discover new things, which they already know, because they're slowly, like a faucet dripping, allowing people to discover and take the credit for making this, but it's already been made. And that will lead into something else that I'm apprehensive for speaking about that, but I'm going to mention it just for its and giggles, okay? A lot of people don't believe in time travel. Let me make this affirmation. If time travel were or is possible, time travel would be possible firstly by individuals understanding who they are. And what I mean by that, like not your first, last name, your social. Understanding that we are energy. We're either positive or we're either negative, but we're energy. To state that we are energy lends to the notion that I believe time travel is possible, because to time travel, to travel through time, requires energy. We got that out the bag already. We're energy. So that means that energy can travel back. I'm not certain about the forward, but I'm believing time travel, energy can travel back because it's been there before. I'm going to end it at that. I'm going to leave it like it is. This is Joe. Little hashtag rant, whatever. Again, I guess I'm finding myself doing this to not just bring people up to speed with me at the present time, but to show them my story hasn't changed. There's still things that I didn't even mention right now, but it's still there and it's very prevalent. My story is not going to change. I know my truth. Me knowing my truth empowers me to move forward in the direction that I'm supposed to, regardless of the hurdles or the barriers that are in my way. And I'm going to throw another hint out here. The fact that so many Africans or African Americans are at each other's throats, you got the gangs and everything like that. Let me ask you this question. Would a person of color have a problem killing another person of color, regardless of the situation? Versus, would a person of color have a problem killing someone of the opposite ethnicity? You would think that two people of color, regardless of the situation, would hopefully be a little bit apprehensive about ending each other's life. Whereas in the other situation, you have one African American against or versus someone who's not African American, they probably wouldn't have a problem with ending each other's lives. So how do you, this sounds weird, so how do you disguise that it's not a Caucasian trying to kill an African American? You have to have two African Americans that's going to be apprehensive, right? What if one of those African Americans actually has an energy of a Caucasian in them? This African American with the energy of a deceased Caucasian, but now is in this African American's body, would not have a problem with killing or causing harm to another African American. That's something for you guys to think about. I don't know who needs to hear that, just to let them know that I know certain things. That might be the reason why I know certain things. That might be the reason why you're apprehensive about approaching me. But you're going to make that step before I do. I promise you.